ॐ ॐ ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं विश्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। ॐ श्रीकृष्ण परमात्मने नमः। अथ श्रीमद्भगवद्गीता अष्टादशोऽध्यायः मोक्षसन्न्यासयोगः। अर्जुन उवाच सन्न्यासस्य महाबाहो तत्त्वमिच्छामि वेदितुं त्यागस्य च हृषीकेश पृथक् केशिनिषूदन। श्रीभगवानुवाच काम्यानां कर्मणां न्यासं सन्न्यासं कवयो विदुः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागं प्राहुस्त्यागं विचक्षणाः। त्याज्यं दोषवदित्येके कर्म प्राहुर्मनीषिणः यज्ञदानतपः कर्म न त्याज्यमिति चापरे। निश्चयं शृणु मे तत्र त्यागे भरतसत्तमा। त्यागो हि पुरुषव्याघ्र त्रिविधः सम्प्रकीर्तितः यज्ञदानतपः कर्म न त्याज्यं कार्यमेव तत्। यज्ञो दानं तपश्चैव पावनानि मनीषिणाम् एतान्यपि तु कर्माणि सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा फलानि च कर्तव्यानीति मे पार्थ निश्चितं मतमुत्तमम्। नियतस्य तु सन्न्यासः कर्मणो नोपपद्यते मोहात् तस्य परित्यागः तामसः परिकीर्तितः। दुःखमित्येव यत् कर्म कायक्लेशभयात् त्यजेत् स कृत्वा राजसं त्यागं नैव त्यागफलं लभेत्। कार्यमित्येव यत् कर्म नियतं क्रियतेऽर्जुन सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा फलं चैव सत्यागः सात्विको मतः। न द्वेष्ट्य कुशलं कर्म कुशलेनानुषज्यते त्यागी सत्त्वसमाविष्टो मेधावी छिन्न संशयः। न हि देहभृता शक्यं त्यक्तुं कर्माण्यशेषतः यस्तु कर्मफलत्यागी सत्यागीत्यभिधीयते अनिष्टमिष्टं मिश्रं च त्रिविधं कर्मणः फलं भवत्यत्यागिनां प्रेत्य न तु सन्न्यासिनां क्वचित् पञ्चैतानि महाबाहो कारणानि निबोध मे सांख्ये कृतान्ते प्रोक्तानि सिद्धये सर्वकर्मणाम् अधिष्ठानं तथा कर्ता करणं च पृथक्विधं विविधाश्च पृथक् चेष्टा दैवं चैवात्र पञ्चमम् शरीरवाङ्मनोभिर्यत् कर्म प्रारभते नरः न्यायं वा विपरीतं वा पञ्चैते तस्य हेतवः तत्रैवं सति कर्तारम् आत्मानं केवलं तु यः पश्यत्यकृतबुद्धित्वात् न स पश्यति दुर्मतिः यस्य नाहङ्कृतो भावो बुद्धिर्यस्य न लिप्यते हत्वापि स इमान् लोकान् न हन्ति न निबध्यते ज्ञानं ज्ञेयं परिज्ञाता त्रिविधा कर्म चोदना करणं कर्म कर्तेति त्रिविधः कर्म संग्रहः ज्ञानं कर्म च कर्ता च त्रिधैव गुणभेदतः प्रोच्यते गुणसङ्ख्याने यथा वच्छृणुतान्यपि सर्वभूतेषु येनैकं भावमव्ययमीक्षते अविभक्तं विभक्तेषु तज्ज्ञानं विद्धि सात्विकम् पृथक्त्वेन तु यज्ञानं नानाभावान् पृथक्विधान् वेत्ति सर्वेषु भूतेषु तज्ज्ञानं विद्धि राजसं यस्तु कृत्स्नवदेकस्मिन् कार्ये सक्तमहैतुकम् अतत्त्वार्थवदल्पं च तत्तामसमुदाहृतम् नियतं सङ्गरहितम् अरागद्वेषतः कृतम् अफलाप्रेप्सुना कर्म यत्तत् सात्विकमुच्यते ॐ तत्सत्
Sorry, yesterday, my internet went off. I was kind of I thought Sumaji something happened. Then I kept, then I see, nobody's there. So we are supposed to do verse 17, right? Sorry.
Yes, we'll do 17 and then continue.
Okay. Because 17, it's a long one, I think. Should we read from where we left off? Then then maybe we will have a little time to review it again.
Actually, today, after about 15 minutes, I'm okay to read. So you can start and then I will catch up. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you. Mhm. So I'm here, number 17, right? Yes, we read the sloka. I'm going to just go with the padartha. Yasya for whom na ahankritaha bhavaha na. There is no I notion. Yasya buddhihi, whose mind na lipyate, is not affected. Saha, he, Iman Lokan. These people, Hatva api, even killing. Nahanti, he does not kill. Nanibadhyate, nor is he bound. The one who has no I notion, the one whose mind is not affected, he even killing these people does not kill, nor is he bound. The one who sees the Atma as Akarta is not bound by karma. The person who has undergone the proper process of learning with the help of the teacher and the Shastra does not have ahankritah bhavah. That is the notion that I am the doer. Such a person understands that even though the doer is the Atma, because there is no doer without the Atma, in reality, Atma is not the doer. Shankara explains how he gets this particular discriminative knowledge, which takes the form of the cognition. I am not the doer. The five factors, such as the physical body, senses, mind, etc., are superimposed upon the Atma by ignorance, avidya. Ignorance is the connecting factor which makes it look as though Atma has a body, a set of senses, a mind, etc., even though it is independent. He has the understanding that these five factors are the performers of all the actions. Gunah, Guneshu Vartante. The gunas move about among the gunas and not I. I am the witness of all these activities. Okay. I am the witness of all these activities. To illustrate, Shankara quotes the Shruti here. Aprano Kyamanaha Subro Kayak Aksharat Hyaksharat Parataha Paraha. The one who is free from prana, free from the mind, and therefore always pure. One who is free from the prana, free from the mind, and therefore always pure, and above Akshara, the cause of all causes. That's from the Mundaka Upanishad, I think. Yeah. He is the one who is the very basis of Maya. That self is free from any modification or action. The person who sees this is clear in his thinking. Okay. So the person who sees this is clear in his thinking. He is the one whose mind is not affected at all. Buddhihi na lapyate. The person, I think here they quoting for, who is thinking clearly. He is the one whose mind is not affected at all. Buddhihi na lipyate. He has no regret or remorse and therefore does not say, what good did I not do? What wrong did I do? Kim aham sadhu na akaravam, kim aham papam akaravam miti. He has no guilt whatsoever and he is not plagued with fear of retributions. So he has no guilt whatsoever and is not plagued with the fear of retributions for all his omissions and commissions, thinking, why did I not do the right thing? Why did I do the wrong thing? People are always regretful in this way. But here is a person whose buddhi is no longer affected by any such guilt. This is a very important thing because every feeling of guilt is centered on I. Every feeling of guilt is centered on I. Things that were supposed to have been done by me were not done, and things that should not have been done at all were done. This is the last lot of this is the lot of everyone. There are varieties of omissions and commissions, even in terms of accomplishment. Education, skill, and so on. People regret I should have gone to the medical college. I should have studied engineering. I should have learned music. I should not have learned music. Why did I become a teacher of all things? I should have gone to the industry, etc. People can always be regretful about of what they did or did not do. All these are based on one's own action. But action itself does not cause guilt. It is action centered on I that causes guilt. The action does by itself does not cause guilt, but it is action centered on I that causes guilt. Guilt and I go together. Fortunately, however, I is free from any action. You may say 100 different things, but I performs no action. If that is so, what good or bad action is there for Atma? If it never did anything and is therefore free from guilt. Naturally, if one has this vision of Atma, his mind is not affected in any way by regrets and remorse. Tasya buddhir na lipyate. Repentance may be useful in management of your emotions, etc. But it is only for the person who looks upon Atma as the Karta. So again, naturally, I'll read from this line on the top of this line. Naturally, if one has this vision of Atma, his mind is not affected in any way by regrets or and remorse. Tasya buddhir na lipyate. Repentance may be useful in management of your emotions, etc., but it is only for the person who looks upon Atma as the Karta. We are not dismissing repentance here, but we are going one step further and saying that Atma is Akarta, and therefore nothing that was ever done or not done by him can be repented. Even if the jnani kills, he does not kill. So, again, the next paragraph, even if the jnani kills, he does not kill. The one who sees this person who thinks clearly. So let me one quick question, thing I wanted to see. Yeah. So the first head topic is one who sees the Atma Sakarta is not bound by karma. So we saw that one. And then now we are going to see about one, even if the jnani kills, he does not kill. If one who sees this is the person who thinks clearly. Again, the one who sees this is the person who thinks clearly. The wise person who sees that even destroying all these people assembled on the battlefield, he does not perform the act of destruction. Hatva pisa iman lokan nahanti. When he destroys all these people in the battlefield, how can you say he does not destroy? Shankara says, from the standpoint of an onlooker, the person seems to perform the action, but in fact, Atma performs no action. Therefore, he is not bound by the result of any action. Na nibadyate. He comes from the five factors, including the body, but not from the Atma directly. Atma is only the witness, Sakshi, the very basis, Adhisthana of the body and all actions, but itself performs no action. We have to understand this point clearly. Atma is the only witness, Sakshi, its witness, Sakshi, the very basis, Adhisthana of the body and all actions, but itself performs no action. It is the person alone, and that counts here. Okay, it is the person alone that counts here, and that person performs no action whatsoever. What is to be done is done. When a judge issues a judgment for a person to be hanged, can we say he is guilty of taking a life and therefore has to be given a capital punishment? No, because it is the thing to be done. He has no guilt whatsoever because he knows that he is just an instrument in the execution of the law. There is no ego there. This is not a sanction for killing, but by dealing with the most difficult, improper action, all other actions are dealt with. This is called Pratama Malla Nyaya. If you want to become a heavyweight boxing champion, you only need to defeat the current champion. Similarly, here by pointing out the action of killing, he has pointed out all other actions. We have seen how can the person who knows this indestructible, eternal, unborn, imperishable, kill anything or cause anything to be killed. Veda Avinashinam Nityam Ya Yenam Ajam Avyayam Katam Cha Purushaha Partha Kam Kathayati Hantikam. That's
Kam
how
ghatayati hantikam.
sorry. Oh, Gathayati. Yeah.
Kam
Gathayati.
ghatayati hantikam.
Yeah. Gathayati and Hantikam. And also he does not kill, nor is he killed. And also he does not kill, nor is he killed. Nyayam, 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 okay, Nyayam, Hanti na Hanyate. And this unborn eternal ancient one is not killed even when the body is killed. Ajo Nityam Saswatoyam Puranaha na Hanyate Hanyamane Sarire. It is not an object of action, much less subject. In the previous verse, it was said that the one who has not undergone the discipline of learning properly looks upon the self, which is actionless, as the agent. Kevalam Atmanam Kartaram Pashyati. That is, Kevalaha Atma Karta iti Pashyati. Before that, it was said that there are five factors necessary for any action: Karana, Karta, Adhisthana, Prana, and Daiva. While the Karta, the doer, is Atma, Atma is not the doer. We are not presenting a Karta other than the Atma. In fact, we are not presenting anything other than Atma. The Karta, being Atma, is nothing but Sat Chit Ananda, which is completely free from doing. This is not seen unless one removes the ignorance about Atma. Again, this is not seen unless one removes that ignorance about Atma. Therefore, the person who does not have a clear understanding about the Atma thinks that Atma is Karta. Atma is the Karta. The next heading, even if Atma by itself is not the Karta, why can it not be a Karta along with the other factors? Again, I read this heading. Even if Atma by itself is not the Karta, why can it not be a Karta along with the other factors? A pertinent doubt is raised here by Shankara. Perhaps the verse means that one who is not well informed looks upon Atma alone as the agent. Kartaram Atmanam Kevalam Pashyati Durmatihi, not taking into consideration the other four factors required for an action. Without them, there is no possibility of karma. Although Atma by itself has no agency, Kartrutva, in conjunction with the other four factors, it has. Therefore, this does not mean the Atma is Akarta, it is still a Karta. But not by itself. Kevala Atma is Akarta. But in association with the body, etc., it becomes the Karta. Everyone knows this. Nobody looks upon Atma alone as a Karta. Who thinks that he is independent of the physical body, who thinks that he is independent of the physical body and yet perform an action like walking without the physical body. Nobody commits that mistake. If he does, he is a Durmati. Why not take the verse this way? Shankara says that this is not difficult to answer. Again, Shankara says that this is not difficult to answer. If Atma in association with the physical body, etc., becomes the Karta, how does Atma establish this association with the physical body, mind, and senses? Atma itself does not undergo any change to be able to form an association. It is avikriya. Being pure awareness, it has no part to associate with something. It is nira, nirava, nira, niravavyava, avyava, niravyava. How is pure awareness going to associate itself with anything? How is pure awareness going to associate itself with anything? How can something which has attributes like the physical body be associated with another thing which has no part at all? If there are two objects, each having a certain form, association is possible. But when one is absolutely free of attributes, how is it going to associate with the physical body which has attributes? It is not possible. So far, we asked the question, even if Atma itself not the Karta, why can it not be Karta along with the other factors? So that explanation is given here.
Jai Gurudev, I can take over, Dr. Mara.
Yeah, it's okay. I can read if you want to go ahead. That's not a problem.
Yeah. We stopped at this part, no? Even if Atma is.
Yeah,
we
read that. We read that.
Keval Atma cannot do any
Yeah,
action. Is this
yeah,
where it
from
is?
there. Yeah.
Here, right?
Yeah, I was reading up to this part. Niravyava. Yeah, Kevala Atma cannot do any action. We
Okay.
can start from
So
there.
I'll just start with the last few sentences.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Last paragraph, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Shankara says that this is not difficult to answer. The question is, If you don't mind, I will just read this one more time. Even if Atma by itself is not the Karta, why can it not be a Karta along with the other factors? A pertinent doubt is raised here by Shankara. This is the Purva Mimamsa talking. Perhaps the verse means that the one who is not well informed looks upon Atma alone as the agent. Kartaram Atmanam Kevalam Pashyati Durmatihi, not taking into consideration the other four factors required for an action. Without them, there is no possibility of karma. Although Atma by itself has no agency, Kartritva, in conjunction with the other four factors it has. Therefore, this does not mean that Atma is a Karta. It is still a Karta, but not by itself. Kevala Atma is a Karta, but in association with the body, etc., it becomes the Karta. Everyone knows this. Nobody looks upon Atma alone as a Karta. Who thinks that he is independent of the physical body and yet performs an action like walking without the physical body? Nobody commits that mistake. If he does, he is a Durmati. Why not take the verse this way? Shankara says that this is not difficult to answer. So all of this is part of that question, the whole first paragraph. Shankara says that this is not difficult to answer. If Atma in association with the physical body, etc., becomes the Karta, how does Atma establish this association with the physical body, mind, and senses? Atma itself does not undergo any change to be able to form an association. It is avikriya. Being pure awareness, it has no part to associate with something. It is niravyaya. Niravayava. How is pure awareness going to associate itself with anything? How can something which has attributes like the physical body be associated with another thing which has no part at all? If there are two objects, each having a certain form, association is possible. But when one is absolutely free of attributes, how is it going to associate with the physical body which has attributes? It is not possible. So this is Shankara's refuting the question that he himself has posed as part of the Purva Mimamsa. So he says there is no possibility of association of the Atma with the physical body. Kevala Atma cannot do any action. Let me know
So
if you
one
repeat.
in this avikriya, is it? I thought it's not doing any action. That's what that means.
It
Avikriya.
does not undergo any change. It does
Change.
not change like milk changes to curd. Atma does not change like that. It is changeless.
But then Niravya, that is no
Niravyava
part to
is
associate with something.
no
Okay.
part to associate with something. See, it is full. It is
Yeah,
purna,
it's a conscious, yeah,
pure awareness. No.
your awareness, yeah,
So, with what will it associate?
right. So it's a pure awareness, avayava,
Yeah.
and then it doesn't associate because of that. And then avikriya does not undergo change. Okay.
But the Purva Mimamsa says, he says when it's associated with the body, then Atma becomes a Karta. So he's, according to the Purva Mimamsa, the Karma Kandi, it is
Right.
a, Atma is a Karta. Shankara says that is not possible. How? Kevala Atma cannot do any action. Then, what is the meaning of the word Kevala? While it can be used in the sense of merely, as it has been taken by the objector, it can also be used in the sense of pure. It alone exists, nothing else. It is by nature free from any modification or attribute. The word kevala here should be taken in this sense of purity, restating a fact about the self. Therefore, in the previous verse, kevalam atmanam kartaram pashyati durmatihi does not mean that Atma alone is seen as the karta. Mhm. It's such a different, such an opposite meaning it has altogether. That is not the meaning, and the next verse confirms it. So the
Can you
previous,
please repeat this, please, Brahmaraji?
yeah. So just give me one second. I'll just be back. Yeah. Kevala Atma cannot do any action. Then, what is the meaning of the word Kevala? While it can be used in the sense of merely, as it has been taken by the objector here is the Purva Mimamsa, the Karma Kanda. It can also be used in the sense of pure. It alone exists, nothing else. It is by nature free from any modification or attribute. The word Kevala here should be taken in this sense of purity, restating a fact about the self. Therefore, in the previous verse, Kevalam Atmanam Kartaram Pashyati Durmatihi does not mean that Atma alone is seen as the Karta. That is not the meaning, and the next verse confirms it.
There is a footnote about Kevalam. I think it is pure, but then there was something about doesn't change or something like that. I don't.
There's
The
no
previous.
footnote here.
Yeah, maybe it was in the. We read it somewhere, but okay, it's fine. Don't worry.
Do you want me to read anything else? Repeat?
No, this is fine. We can continue. Basically, the Kevala means it's pure, and just because it does say Kevalam Atmanam Kartara, it's not seen as Karta. They confirm that with the next one. Next verse it says. Oh, this is the end of it?
Yeah,
No.
there's some more there. So,
No, we got 2-3 pages on this.
yes.
Yeah, thanks.
Rinal, can I continue or you want to reread?
No, read, but just maybe you could give me the gist of it.
Yeah, what this paragraph says is that Kevala Atma does not mean Atma alone does. It means Kevala here, Shankara says, needs to be interpreted as pure, as something which is whole. And it is not that only Atma is the Karta and none else. So the word Kevala here should be taken as in the sense of purity, restating a fact about the self.
Yeah, and then I think we read footnote about Kevala that is pure, it doesn't change anything, not changed by anything or something like that. I don't remember it. Yeah.
When we read further, we'll be able to understand better. Let's read further. That the self does not perform any action is very well known in the Shruti, the Gita itself, the Smriti, and it is also reasonable. Gita says, Atma is not subject to modification. It is avikriya. Actions are done by the gunas. Gunaireva karmani kriyante. Even though obtaining in the body, Arjuna, Atma does not act and it is not touched. Sharirasthopi kaunteya na karoti na lipyate. This is in the 13th chapter, 31st verse. The same thing is said in the Shruti. He seemingly meditates and seemingly moves away. Dhyayati iva, lelayati iva. Atma does not do any act of meditation, nor does it get agitated and move away. It only seems to do so. In fact, the whole of Atma Bodh is full of these similes, where it talks of how Atma is Kevala, Atma is that pure awareness, and how it seemingly appears as though it is doing. It is like in that Shuktika Rajatam Yatha, just like how that mother of pearl, it appears as though it is a silver, but as you go forward, it is not. Similarly, here Atma appears as though it does, but it is not. And this is what the Shruti is saying. Again, there is a reference to the Shruti. So we go back to the Pramana. How can you say Atma is not the doer? You go back to the Pramana, the Smriti, Shruti. And all of Gita, so many times Bhagavan himself has said, Atma is not subject to modification. By reasoning also, we can see that the self is avikriya, actionless. By reasoning also, it can be established that the self is without parts, not dependent on anything else, and not subject to modification. Atma is the one thing that is self-evident and therefore does not depend upon any other thing for its existence. Just reference to Swami Dayananda's lectures on Nirvana Shatkam, where he talks of there are only two things, Atma and Anatma. And this Atma, he says, is self-evident. You don't need proof that you exist, that I is there, that's self-evident. Everything else is Anatma. So even by reasoning it out also, you can come to this conclusion that Atma is the one thing that is self-evident. If Atma has parts, they must exist in a locus. And a locus is necessarily an object, and therefore Anatma. Parts of Atma residing in Anatma is untenable, and therefore Atma having parts cannot be supported by reasoning. Also, because it is self-evident, in the form of Chaitanya, everything else becomes evident to the self, including limbs and attributes. They are not self-evident and therefore not Atma. If you say Atma is subject to modification, how do you know this? There should be another Atma seeing the Atma that is undergoing changes. And if we accept this, we will get into infinite regression. Second Atma to see the first, and the third to see the second, and so on. Even if by some stretch of imagination, you are able to say that Atma is subject to modification, you still cannot establish that Atma is the Karta, the doer. What would be its action? It could only be a change centered on Atma. If the physical body, mind, senses, etc. are performing action, it is their action. How can their action be the action of the Atma? Even accepting that Atma is subject to change, the actions involved in bringing about that change are not the actions that emanate from the physical body, mind, and senses. I will just repeat these last few lines. Even if by some stretch of imagination, you are able to say that Atma is subject to modification, you still cannot establish that Atma is the Karta, the doer. What would be its action? It could only be a change centered on Atma. If the physical body, mind, senses, etc. are performing action, it is their action. How can their action be the action of the Atma? Even accepting that Atma is subject to change, the actions involved in bringing about that change are not the actions that emanate from the physical body, mind, and senses. Further, if you accept that Atma is independent of all of them, then that Atma cannot be the agent, karta of actions done by the body, etc. When the physical body, mind, and senses perform their actions, how can Atma become the karta even if it is subject to change? The action done by one person cannot go to another person who has not done that action. It has nothing to do with him. A given person's action belongs to that person alone, and no one else can be held accountable for it. This is So Shankara is twisting and turning and finding out all kinds of objections, and he's refuting the objections. Let me
Yeah,
continue.
obviously, if Atma considers an object, then there will be two or more. I mean, everybody has different Atma, right?
Correct.
Then it would be, that wouldn't be
It's not tenable.
possible.
Yes.
Yeah, it's you think we are one God that has the wisdom and the power and everything else, so that is the thing. Then when you say Atma is doing the action, it's not correct because it's not considered as. I mean, everything else is anatma. If it has to undergo changes like our body goes through the change, right? Then it will be destroyed. Then what is then atma? Then there will be nothing, right? If he considered as a
Which is what?
object.
See, in
Yeah.
order to see change, considering that there was one postulation saying by the stretch your imagination and say Atma is changing, then
Yeah.
there has to be something else to perceive and observe this change, which means
Exactly. Yeah.
Atma for that. And then to perceive the second Atma, you need the third Atma. So it goes on into infinite regression. So you'll go on, which is impractical, which is not what is. So there
Yeah.
is one changeless Atma, which is the witness, which is avikriya, which is niravayava.
Yeah.
It is not changing and it is not subject to
Modification.
modification. And based on this changeless entity, you're able to see all the change, all the actions that are happening from the physical body, mind, senses, etc.
Right. So can you repeat that again when you said
Yeah, I will
if you
repeat.
consider Atma as a karta, it's subject to change, and that means something is overseeing that Atma. That then the second Atma will be overseen by another one. Like that, like you said, it goes into regression. Okay, now I
Where
got it.
will you stop that? Which Atma? Where you go
Yeah.
on? But
Yeah,
this
which
is the
Atma is overseeing what? Then that would be, not possible, basically. And also the other way around, I was thinking, like how we go through, our body goes through the changes, like young, old, and with the vinashati in the end. That means, including that atma, if that is how we are going to take, it will be also gone. But where, if that is the case, then as you said, there must be something else. But it is not there. That something else is not there.
Yeah.
Jai Gurudev, when we say Jnani is Akarta, he is not the doer, but it is only at the level of Atma. When we compare with uh, the normal person who would take the doership, the Jnani doesn't take the doership. That is the only difference. But his physical body has to go through the punishment. It's only at the level of Atma. He is non-doer, but the person who thinks that he is the doer, he will create the karmas. This is the difference I felt. And in
But then
one
he
more
also
question.
mentioned also, right? Like when the judge gives the punishment to the
Yeah.
person, that is not considered as he's killing that person. He's just doing his job. Same way
Huh.
in this particular case where Arjuna
But that's
was,
what at the physical level. I mean, if somebody a jnani kills a lot of
when
people,
they are
he's
doing their
not doing it.
duty, yeah,
Huh.
when they are doing their
If
duty,
at all he has to go through the I mean, he's living in this world, he'll get punished, his body will get punished, but not at the Atman level. He is a karta there. He's not creating any karma. That is the difference. But his physical body will get the punishment.
right, in anywhere, like whether the jnani or not jnani,
Yes,
the
that's what
Atma
I mean.
is,
The difference I
yeah.
said, only at the Atman level, the difference is doership and the non-doership. That's why
Right.
there are karmas and no karmas over here. And one more question I had, like if Atma is not associated with the body mind set, then like when we die, we remain with our sukshma sharira and the current sharira, right? And uh, then also the Atman is with us. So we take the birth. So Atman has never left us, right? So it is
It's
always
only
been
Atma
there with us.
that's
Huh.
there. Yeah. The
Mm.
the truth of existence is that there
Is
is only one,
always there.
only
Yeah.
Correct.
Atma.
Mm.
You
All
have
these
like,
are just like the waves of the ocean that come,
Mm.
rise and fall.
Correct.
When you are born, one wave called Mrinal is born and lasts for a while. And then when the wave
Mm.
subsides, the physical body called Mrinal is no longer there,
Mm.
dies
But
down.
that,
But the
mm.
ocean remains. That is
Mm.
that remains forever.
that
That is why
space,
it,
like, yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
The same way the example of the pots also, right?
Yeah.
The pot
Pots
breaks.
also, even the gulab jamun also,
Mm.
it's just the syrup in which we are, floating in, and the syrup is in and through us. And that sweetness is because of the syrup. The life is because of that Atman.
Which is why, see, here it's very beautifully explained. The actions done by the physical body, mind, and senses are individualized. And therefore, everybody has their own blueprint they are creating and also experiencing. The karma done from the past, the prarabdha karma that they're born with, each one's prarabdha karma is different. Nobody has, you can't have two people with the same prarabdha, even as much as they are identical twins, isn't it? So the action done by one person cannot go to another person who has not done that action. It has
Yeah.
nothing to do with him. I'm just reminded of that story of Kalidasa when
Uh,
when he of Valmiki or Kalidasa was it? Valmiki, when he is
mm,
actually in his previous Purva ashrama, he was a dacoit. And he comes home and he tells his wife, will you share the thing, because I'm sharing all the booty that I get with all of you, will you share my papa as well? She says, no, it is your sin, you have to go through it. So it has nothing to do, the action done by one person cannot go to another person who has not done that action. It has nothing to do with him. A given person's action belongs to that person alone, and no one else can be held accountable for it. This is where
Mm.
free will comes in.
Right.
Yesterday, day before, we were talking about free will and we kind of stopped because it was already time. I think
Mm.
Sarla brought it up. Free will and destiny. This is the free will. You have the free will to do, not to do, or do otherwise. And that is a gift given to human beings that animals do not have. So we, with that matured intellect, with that viveka and vichara, what we do is what we are creating a blueprint for this life as well as the next.
Mm. Maybe Valmiki's wife may not have read this Atma Bodha. That's why she said, I won't take the your karmas, because she wouldn't even have taken it.
No, individually, people have to responsible for their own action, right? It's not
Yeah.
like
No,
they
it's
share
on the
their
lighter,
action. Yeah.
lighter note.
Mm.
She wouldn't have, even if she had said, okay, I'll take your karma, she wouldn't have been able to, right?
No, yeah, she said she didn't. She's already a wise person. She says your papa belongs to you. We will not take a part of it. So she already is kind of having this knowledge.
Yeah, there is
Even
one
in
other
Bhaja
story
Govindam,
about like
same thing has said, no? In Bhaja Govindam, you are solely
You are?
you are solely means आप खुद की कर्मा के खुद हकदार है. Nobody will share your results of karma. In the last, so everybody will leave you. Only you have to be there. You have to suffer, or that's why you bhaja Govindam. Means nothing will stay with you. Who are, only you are there. Whatever you have done, your money will be gone. Nobody will be staying with you, and at last you will be alone only.
Right.
And I
True.
think we can't say started our journey, but we have been from agyana towards the jnana. We have been traveling towards jnana, and people have different. Maybe everybody was same in the beginning, but everybody, all these jivas, I don't know how they first in the first place created, but they started using their free will, and that's why these different kinds of impressions. In each impression, the jiva comes with different impressions, because it started using its free will in different way. Some people use it in a different way. I used to feel that if the Atman was the pure one when it started the journey, why did it even first did the karma? But it is the other way. Everything was agyana, and then the uh, process of gaining the knowledge started. I think it is this way, from agyana to jnana. So each jiva started picking up. I don't even know, like, how would you do that choice of using your free will when? Is it also predestined then?
All those
Ramrati,
are
I had also
questions
this
to
thought.
wonder.
How the thoughts come. I was having same question, because where is the free will and like prarabdha only working, all thoughts
If
coming and we
it
are.
was pure soul, if it was a pure Atman, then it would not even get attached to these kind of things. The jiva would not have. I think the journey is from agyana to jnana. So each jiva is taking that step of free will and moving towards the jnana, and each one is different. Then how come each one is different? What makes them choose differently? If each agyani was the same in the beginning, then why not each agyani was same in the beginning?
That's why it's a mix, no? Everybody is a mix. Everybody is not the
Yeah,
same.
same.
it's
That's why.
also
So
based
I
on the gunas,
impressions
right?
into the picture.
The
Because the
guna.
impressions of so many lifetimes, no? Millions of lifetimes, every time we have collected something.
No, I'm thinking of the beginning,
Correct.
though there is no beginning.
There is no beginning. Ignorance, that is why it is ignorance, it's beginningless. You cannot pinpoint and say this is where Ajnana started. but you can point out an end to ajnana. The moment there is jnana, there is an end to ajnana. So anadi, it is anadi. In that way, both ajnana and jnana are anadi. Jnana is there. That is what is there. It is not like ajnana is, we're moving to, of course, we're moving towards jnana, but
Probably
jnana has always
when
been
the
there. All this is only because of the mala, the avarana. And the avarana is because of maya. That maya is what that creates all these, you know, varied, myriad, different
drama.
kinds of creatures, different kinds of mentalities.
Yeah.
How each one, if you want to go and find out where is the root cause of Mrinal right now in this age at time, it is an endless journey, which is why Swamiji in the very beginning said, what is our intention? You rightly said, we are moving towards jnana. So you were moved towards jnana. You don't want to find out the root cause of ajnana. It's a journey that will never end. Whereas jnana has an end. There is a fulfillment in realizing.
Ajnana has an end.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, it's a futile exercise trying to figure out the origin of ajnana. Whereas when you move towards jnana, you follow the words of the Shruti, the master, and with that, the faith in the words of the Shruti, then you're moving towards jnana. And that is what our experience is. Forget about what everybody else says. What is your and my experience? When you realize, when you're listening to the Nirvana Shaktam, it's an expansive feeling that it's a liberating feeling, and that is when you're in touch with your nature, which is nothing but Satchidananda. So anything which takes you closer to your true nature is what is to be, is what the path of knowledge is. Right? But here we're trying to go behind and say, where did all this start? It's a nice thing to wonder, but I think it's only a matter of wonder.
We studied, no, in Tattva Bodha.
Mm.
Where did it start? It started. And when it came to Maya, Bhagavan Krishna says, my inferior energy. I have a superior energy and an inferior energy. Inferior energy is the Maya, which created the 5 Panchabhutas and the intellect, ego, and mind. Now, from that, we got all that Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, and Vata, Pitta, Kapha. All these put together is one big mix. From this mix, each one of us have got something. And this whole thing is, the basis is Ajnana, as you all rightly said. So,
Again,
we
here,
cannot say.
did we pick up those gunas, or just came and got attached to us? Did it happen naturally, or
No, it
there
is
was a
like a
free will?
seasons. Three gunas are like seasons. They are there in the Prakriti.
Rhythms in nature, yeah, correct.
Like that, it
Nature
is
has
three
a
gunas
rhythm.
are there all the time.
Mm.
It's not that we are latching out or anything. Everywhere these three gunas are playing their roles anyways.
So
So the
Yeah,
it's
gunas
very
which have
difficult to
connect,
cognize that,
because we are
somewhere it
thinking
doesn't,
linear.
yes, linear, and there is some start and there end. Very
Yeah,
difficult for
the
me to get
start
out of
was,
that, yeah.
yeah, you read Yoga Vasishta.
Yeah,
It
okay.
is mind-boggling how
Yeah,
creation
sure,
is
sure.
spontaneous,
Mm.
and it is things didn't happen one at a time. It was multi-creation. See, if you had to create a snake, okay, how did the snake come? You cannot go back, because when something was created, he had to create food for it also, no? So it was simultaneous creation. So it is not a linear thing. We are so used to this origin of species, that way, linear thinking, from amoeba to amphibian to reptile to birds to
mammals. No, that's not how creation, at least in the Vedanta, that's not how creation happened. And it makes sense. Because if God had to create a frog, then he had to also create the food for the frog, isn't it? So both came together. So like that, millions of things came together. And then all these combinations and permutations, how they happen, that is a mystery.
Yeah, but
Creation is a mystery.
on one hand we have this Vishnu avatars, right? They show the evolution part also.
That is, we are trying to understand it like that. Evolution of what? Of
Evolution of
species?
species, or maybe that longing for total happiness. And as we have read, we try to find the happiness in the body and different things. So out of that longing, we might
Evolution,
have
Each
we might
avatara was
have
taken
evolved.
because of what is needed at that time and
Correct.
space.
Like
It
maybe
was not because of the happiness or whatnot. He is there to protect people or take care of the adharma or whatever that was happening in that
Like
particular
here,
period.
I would like to mention we should not mix up
Yeah,
Puranas with
yeah.
Advaita.
Uh,
and
Otherwise,
even
you
if you look at Puranas, evolution was of the nervous system. And more refined and refined and refined, it came to the human nervous system. Only in the human nervous system you can have this power of discrimination. So evolution was of the nervous system. The bodies
when
can be
yeah.
anything.
We can't go delving into that kind of, I mean, what I'm saying is, if you really go back, even in the other culture, like, we think only we Krishna Avatara and all that. I was wondering, oh, there is so many these wars happening where the God probably comes in a different forms, like it's not like always that way. Um, some examples, like how the bottom line is here, I think when God created, at least who is thinking about me, like meaning, like they are all self-absorbed by themselves, like so selfish into only this karmas, then the external things, or they're really looking into what's happening. So that is what I think, so how people I mean, going towards that part, going towards jnana
get
part.
back to the text.
Gurudev has given a talk, Two
Yeah.
Steps to Enlightenment,
Steps to
where you go
enlightenment.
from from somebody to nobody and from nobody to everybody.
Yeah, that is the
Yeah,
logo of
you listen to that talk.
Just getting back to the text number 1 is when in doubt, when you're having some confusion, because see, we are exposed to the Puranas, we are exposed to some Advaita. So in the mind, it's natural for us to have a little bit of confusion. So whenever there is this confusion, you will stick to Shastra. The Advaita is what, Vedanta is what holds true. So you drop everything else. That Puranas are just like stories embedded to let the common man understand the tenets of spirituality. But then that has to be just given that place. We cannot use Puranas and ask and get answers to Puranic stories from Vedanta. So Vedanta
right.
is holds. Vedanta is talking of the ultimate truth. So we'll go forward. So a given person's action belongs to that person alone, and no one else can be held accountable for it. You may argue that though the physical body performs the action, you have identification with it and take the physical body as yourself. Consequently, due to the ignorance now obtaining, karma that is done can go to Atma. If you say this, I will say, live long, Ayushman Bhava, for that is exactly what I am saying. Even then, Atma does not become the Karta. If due to ignorance, Atma is taken to be a Karta, that agency, Kartritva, is not real. Shankara gives an example. A shell that is mistaken for a piece of silver does not become silver. If you see silver, due to your own ignorance of the fact that what you are looking at is a shell, you see a silver which is not there at all. Similarly, if you see an action in Atma due to your ignorance of the actionlessness of Atma, that does not in any way belong to Atma. It is like cloud forms seen as palaces and dust seen in space by children, not knowing that these things do not belong to the space. He just denounced it in one stroke. He says it is only because of our mistake that association is the veil of ignorance. It is because of our own avidya that we see that Atma is Karta, but actually Atma is not Karta. I'll just repeat this one paragraph. You may argue that though the physical body performs the action, you have identification with it and take the physical body as yourself. Consequently, due to the ignorance now obtaining, karma that is done can go to Atma. So this is the proposition from the Purva Mimamsa. If you say this, now Shankara is saying, I will say live long, Ayushman Bhava. For that is exactly what I am saying. Even then, Atma does not become the Karta. If due to ignorance, Atma is taken to be a Karta, that agency, Kartritva, is not real. Not real meaning it is only apparent. Shankara gives an example. A shell that is mistaken for a piece of silver does not become silver. If you see silver due to your own ignorance of the fact that what you are looking at is a shell, you see a silver which is not there at all. Similarly, if you see an action in Atma due to your ignorance of the actionlessness of Atma, that does not in any way belong to Atma. Atma is least bothered. Our Atma is like Satchidananda there, Kevala Atma. But here, it is our ignorance that is attributing action to Atma. It is like cloud forms seen as palaces and dust seen in the space by children, not knowing that these things do not belong to the space. So it is only a superimposition. It is impossible to perform an action without bringing about any change. That is the basis of Shankara's argument. Without change on the locus of action, there cannot be any action. Conversely, wherever there is an action, the locus of that action must subject itself to some kind of change. Without action, you cannot even close or open your eyes. Even deliberately not opening the eyes implies a mental activity. Action always implies some motion, some change, and the changes that take place in a given part of the body, etc., belong only to it, not to Atma. What is said here in this verse is proper. Yasya nahankrito bhavo buddhir yasya na lipyate hatvapi sa iman lokan nahanti nanibadhyate. The mind of the one who has no notion that he is a doer is not affected. Even killing these people, he does not kill and is not bound. His mind is not troubled with remorse about what he did and did not do because there is no sankara, mix-up. That wise person does not do the action of killing, nor is he bound by result of action. Shankara points out the statement in the second chapter of Gita. He does not kill, nor is he killed. Na ayam hanti na hanyate. That is because it is said, he is not born, na jayate. This statement reveals the changelessness of Atma. The entire view of the Gita Shastra is presented here properly. Both the one who looks upon the Atma as an object which can be destroyed, and the one who looks upon the Atma as a subject of the action of killing or any other action, do not know the Atma. Ubautau na vijanataha. Atma does not perform the action of killing or become the object of somebody's act of destruction. You cannot objectify the Atma to destroy it. And therefore, Bhagavan went on to say, Nainam chindanti shastrani. Weapons cannot destroy it. I cannot objectify you, the Atma, in order to destroy you, nor can you as Atma perform any action. It is not possible that Atma is either the subject or the object of an action. Having made this initial statement, he gave the reason why Atma is not subject to death, decay, etc. Why? Because it was never born. Na jayate. There was never a time it was not there, nor having been there, later it will not be. Na ayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuyaha. This kind of a problem does not exist for Atma, because Atma is not subject to time, it is unborn, it is eternal. Ajaha nityam. By giving these statements of reasoning, he tells us that Atma is not subject to modification, it is avikriya. What kind of action can one perform? I'm going down further because I think we read all this yesterday. What kind of action can one perform? There are two types of actions. One that you do and one that you prompt someone else to do. Both are your actions. But the one who knows this indestructible, eternal, unborn, imperishable Atma does neither of the actions. How or whom will that person destroy or cause to destroy? He does not perform any action whatsoever. This is sarva karma sannyasa by knowledge. Such a person is no longer enjoined to do any karma because he is not a karta. Having said all this briefly at the beginning of the Shastra, in the second chapter of the Gita, Krishna elaborates upon it wherever there is an occasion in the Gita. Even while doing, he does not do. He says, seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, going, sleeping, breathing, etc. He does not think he is doing any action. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tattvavid. Pashyan, shrinvan, sprishan, jigran, ashnan, gachan, swapan, swashan. He also says, the one who sees inaction in action and action in inaction, karmani akarmayah paschet, akarmani cha karmayah. He knows the truth. And says in the 13th chapter, even though obtaining in the body Arjuna, he does not act. We have seen varieties of verses like this in the Gita, showing that Atma does not perform any action. Now, he sums up the vision of the entire Shastra to bring it all together in one place. It is something like gathering rice grains that are scattered all over into one heap. Krishna knows he is reaching the end of his teaching and therefore sums up the whole topic under discussion by saying here that the wise person, the one who knows Atma, does not destroy nor is he bound. I'll read the other part also. The whole Gita Shastra deals with pravritti and nivritti. The whole Gita Shastra is dealing with karma and sannyasa. Shankara also makes it clear in his introduction that it is centered on pravritti and nivritti. And Lord Krishna himself says, Arjuna, in this world, a twofold commitment was told by me before: knowledge for the renunciates and karma for the karma yogis. Lokesmin dvividhanishta pura prokta mayanagha jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yogina. In this chapter, you will see again how clearly the Shastra unfolds what is real sannyasa, what is the lifestyle of sannyasa, and what is karma yoga. The entire Gita revolves around these three topics. Sarva karma sannyasa is the main thing to be accomplished, for which you can live a life of either karma yoga or karma sannyasa, in which there is no other pursuit but knowledge. In both these pursuits, there is karma phala tyaga, renunciation of the results of actions, because actions are not done for punya but for moksha. The one who has the knowledge of the Atma is completely free from karma because he no longer has any sense of agency, kartritva, and therefore no identification with the body. It is very clear to him that he performs no action because all sense of agency and actions stemming from that are caused by ignorance. When this is so, there is total renunciation of all actions in the form of knowledge, and therefore the three types of results of karma, ishta, anishta, and mishra, do not exist for him. Just 5 verses ago, it was said, after death, there is a threefold result of karma: desired, undesired, and a mixture of the two. For those who have not renounced their sense of doership, but never for sannyasis. As long as there is an identification with the body and therefore a sense of doership, it is not possible to avoid karma phala. It will stick to you because you are the doer of the action. Shankara himself says here that this is the essence of the meaning of all the Vedas, and that after properly analyzing it, it should be understood by learned people who are capable of discrimination and inquiry. These are those whose mind is rendered subtle and can therefore probe into the subject matter. Wherever there was an occasion for it, the difference between karma sannyasa and sarva karma sannyasa was shown, keeping in view the entire Shastra as well as reasoning. Reasoning is important as a support for the assimilation of the meaning of the Shastra, because there are other possible interpretations. What the Shastra says can be above reason, no doubt, but it cannot be irrational. So that is why the Shastra's word, ultimately it is the Shastra. It is not irrational. The whole tradition is presented very clearly here. The Vedic tradition is centered on karma. Either one does enjoined karmas and kamya karmas in keeping with dharma. When moksha is established as the end to be accomplished, one gives up kamya karma and does enjoined karmas as karma yoga while pursuing knowledge. Or one gives up even the enjoined karmas and pursues only knowledge. All this one does for moksha, which is the complete giving up of doership, something that is possible only by knowledge. You don't do anything in reality. In the wake of knowledge, Atma is discovered as one which is incapable of action, and in that sense, the renunciation of doership takes place. Therefore, there are no byproducts of karma for this person, no karma phala, no more birth and death. In these few lines, the whole Gita Shastra has been summed up. Previously, we saw the five-fold constituents of an action, adhisthana, etc. And then the grouping of the actions themselves under three heads: Kaika, Vachika, and Manasa. Now, what exactly impels one to do this threefold karma? This Krishna tells in the next verse. It is so very beautiful. I know I didn't go back and reread anything because I just wanted to go as a flow. Anyone wants to share anything? So it's very clearly, he is number one, he is refuted and explained how Atma is not the Karta because it is Avikriya. And he gives so many examples from the Shruti and from the Smriti. And also from the beginning of the second chapter, he's been talking about how Atma is na jayate, na mriyate. And therefore, something that is changeless cannot be the object or the subject of the action. So it is beyond. And if there is a misconception of this, it is only because of a improper understanding, because of ignorance, that we associate Atma to be the doer. But in fact, Atma is not a doer. And in order to get to that state of sarva karma sannyasa, which is moksha, there are two lifestyles, pravritti and nivritti, karma and sannyasa. So he says
basically they were saying like if a wise person even I'm wondering why we read all these things. He is trying to explain the Atma it does not do any action, but basically that's what it comes down to. Like whether you kill the person, not kill the person, then that was kind of an example that trying to show you. So the bottom line is that, like you said, avikriya, ava, even two new words about we learned
Niravayava.
today. Avayava, nirava, yeah, nirava, yava, yeah, nirava, yava, and yeah, I think. As you said, like people have a lot of questions, right? And that's why what all the possibility that we can think of, probably they are trying to give that to you, and then we have to pick and choose what we need to keep in our mind and what we need to follow. That's why this shastra is kind of important in this aspect. We have to follow what it says and having faith in it.
I think page number 214 can be reread tomorrow. This whole tradition is given. This paragraph is so profound in that it gives the journey of a sadhak. The Vedic tradition is centered on karma. So we start off doing karmas, kamya karmas, in keeping with dharma again. And then when you get on to the moksha purushartha, initially it is dharma, artha, kama, dharma, artha, kama. Then when you hold on to that moksha purushartha, then you actually become a true karma yoga. Either you get on to the path of karma yoga or sannyasa. I think it's time for us to close today. We have shloka 18 to do, but tomorrow we'll reread this one more time and then go to shloka 18. Om loka samasta sukhino bha. Om shanti shanti shanti. Om tat sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.
Oh, Dr. Brahma, are you that Lalita Sahasranam class?
Yeah,
are you
I'll
starting
mention in the Vinodji said decide about the time today, and we'll mention it in the group.
Okay, because I just want to know if I have to come in early.
Only two
So
possibilities.
Thanks.
One is either it gets preponed or it will remain the same. So one of those, it'll put it in the group. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
I will play Maya Panchakam.
नित्यनिरंशकेऽप्यखण्डे मयि चिति सर्वविकल्पनादिशून्ये घटयति जगदीश जीवभेदम् त्वघटितघटना पटीयसी माया त्वघटितघटना पटीयसी माया श्रुतिशतनिगमान्तशोधकानपि अहह धनादिनिदर्शनेन सद्यः कलुषयति चतुष्पदाद्यभिन्ना न घटितघटना पडीयसी माया सुखचिदखण्डविबोधमद्वितीयम् वियदनलादिविनिर्मिक्ते नियोज्य भ्रमयति भवसागरे नितान्तम् त्वघटितघटना पटीयसी माया अपगतगुणवर्णजातिभेदे सुखचितिविप्रविडाद्यहङ्कृतिं च स्फुटयति सुतदारकेहमोहम् त्वघटितघटना पटीयसी माया विधिहरिहरविभेदमप्यखण्डे बत विरचय्य बुधानपि प्रकामम् भ्रमयति हरिहरविभेदभावान् घटितघटना पटीयसी माया त्वघटितघटना पटीयसी माया